Hi, and welcome to something different. I'm going to paint a model. I've been on the internet. I've looked for good ways to paint something that was synthwavy or vaporwavy or something along those lines. So far, I haven't found anything that was to my liking. There were a lot of good tutorials out there, but they just weren't for me. Now, before I get into painting this and showing you what we're going to paint, I will admit that I am not the best painter in the world. I'm far from it actually. I'm doing this video because several people at my local gaming store through the last couple of months has asked me how I've painted my Gene Stealer cults. Oh, the techniques I've used. They know how to paint. You put paint on a brush and then you put it on the model. They're not that stupid. They are nice guys. They're kind. And in the end, one of them just suggested that I'd make a video that I could show them, and then I could just share it in the internet. Who knows? Maybe it'll blow up and I'll be like famous or something. Oh yeah. Oh, let's wish. So, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we're going for. It is Vaporwave. There is some blue. This is to illustrate or kind of look like the moon shining from here. And then we have some sort of light source over here casting out this bright magenta lighting. Now, there needs to be 3 colors on a model for it to be legal, so I had to put on some yellow, which also fits into the theme, for just some light effects. Now, later on I've done some more of them and they started turning out to be more red. Actually, somewhere I have one that is really red in comparison. So just magenta, very red. Now I've been doing a lot of working to figure out how to actually avoid this and do this, and I think I've nailed it. So today we're going to paint this guy. It is Neophyte Acolyte, I think. Oh, they're not called the Acolyte Hybrid, sorry, with a heavy rock drill. Now, these are the colors that I have in my range for this project. I have Aerial Yellow, which is just for the lights. So the lights on the bike, and just the pop color. On some of my models, like this Kellamorph down here at the sigil, which is really difficult to see, I've used gold just as another contrast color or accent color. I've done this on my locusts as well, for the simple reason that they don't have anything that seems to make logic sense that's going to light up. Now, the blues are, it's quite a good genre of music, but other than that, is the Fang, some Ross Gray, and some Sky Blue. The pink, magenta thing is Voluptuous Pink, Contrast, and Vallejo Magenta Fluorescent or Fluo Magenta, which is it's just an awesome paint. It has some weird properties, like when you do it too thickly, it turns red for some reason. And then I have some white. And I also, in case I need it, I do have some black. I'm probably not going to use black. I usually don't. It's nice to have at the side. So that's 8 colors, 9 colors, 3, 6, 8 colors. That's what we're going to do. Probably only going to use 7. Who knows? Now, first thing first, largest dry brush you have, get it slightly damp. And with damp, I do mean slightly damp. If you want a better illustration for this, just go to the Artist Opus YouTube channel and just look at what they do. Now, people are going to get angry for me for how I use dry brushes. And I accept it. First things first, shake up your Fang. And take a dollop, put it on your palette. This is my palette. I like using this one. And just mush it into the brush until you have something that is relatively thick still. It's a thick coat of dry brush. And just give your model a good coating from all the above sides. And that's already too light. So let's just grab some more and continue on. Now, this first step, really, there is no need to take care of anything. using the largest dry brush you have. This is an X large from Artisopus from Series D. It is, yeah, basically impossible to get into the crevices where the shading would be. Now, some would probably argue that I should use a smaller dry brush for this model, because it's a small model. It's what is a 32, 28, 20, that's a 32 mil base. It's a 32 mil base. It's kind of small base. The brush is almost the same size as the base, so yeah. But I do like using it because it does get into or onto all the areas I wanted. Where I want the paint and where I don't want the paint, there's going to be no paint, because the brush is simply too big to reach. Now, that creates some natural shading. For the base, I've just added some texture paint, and we're just going to dry brush that as well. Same blue color. Really a simple paint job in the end. Now, so far so good. No one is angry at my use of dry brushes yet. Okay, maybe a bit, but not too much. That seems good. This is where people are going to get angry, because now we just take our Ross Gray, we shake it up. We could just smush some of the excess paint off. Just the bit of it. Maybe do some of these to just make it flow into the air. But when we've done that, we just take our Ross Gray, we just take a bit, Ross Gray, and we just put it on the palette. But he just used a dirty brush in another color. Yeah. Well, if you don't want to do that with your colors, that's fine. I don't care. It's my colors. I do with them as I want to. Now, this is the next layer. Don't wash your brush in between. First of all, it's not going to be a dry brush afterwards. Second of all, we want some of that in between color. So the mix up. And just a lighter dry brush this time. All over the same places. Just to get a few of the edges. And it might not look as though anything is happening here, but trust me, it is. With the first coat, just put on some more of your Ross Gray and continue. Just keep going. And you can go to pretty far with this step, actually. I don't know what's too far. I haven't done anything that seems too far. So this is one of the models I prepared, and that is pretty light. So we've got a ways to go. Quartz also has some sky blue to add the last few steps. But we want something that is rolled down, cool, nice, nighty tones. This isn't really the natural color of light when it shines from the moon. It is bluish, but it's not this blue. But we want to sell an effect. We don't necessarily want to paint super realistic. We're painting miniatures in a sci-fi fantasy world. We are not painting realism. Someone might be painting realism, and then I would probably go for some other colors. Now, once again, I am not a master painter in any way. I paint to what I would like to call tabletop standard, the arbitrary measurement of tabletop standard. There we go. That was second coat. It is still quite far off, as you can see. Now, for the powerhouse. Do we need... Let's just add a bit more Ross Gray to this model. As you can hear, I am not used to making videos. I don't really know what to say. So at this point I'm just babbling about not knowing what to say. Now that was a pretty heavy coat. But this is an easy paint job. So let's just roll with it. Let's just accept that this is going to be a bit heavier. We still have one more step to fix all our little mistakes. Or, as Mr. Ross would say, happy little accidents. Just roll with them. don't bother too much. If you're not painting for any competition or the like, just take your time, enjoy the painting process, use it as a sort of pseudo meditation thing. If you have a gong, play the gong doom in the background and just enjoy. Put on your favorite streamer, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. Anything is doable. Why am I... Someone just transferred money to me on mobile pay, which is nice. It's more money. I don't know why, but who knows. Let's allow them to do that. Now, sky blue, our final blue highlight. First things first, shake it up, add a bit to the palette, put it away. Put some on your big drive, and this is a lot lighter. As you can see, it is already a lot lighter, so do start gentle. You could start somewhere where it wasn't too visible, but I'm just going to start from the top where it's going to be the lightest. And now things are popping off with this color scheme. Now it's happening, and this time we do concentrate our strokes in just one direction, none of the other directions, just from the top and then down. Easy as that. There we are. Bit more. And a bit on the base as well. Not quite done with the blue step yet, but we are soon done with the blue step. Now, this dry brush is dirty, so just give it a quick wipe down. Don't worry, I'm going to clean my brushes proper later. For now, I just want them to be remotely clean. I'm going to use some brush cleaner later to get these proper clean. Put it aside, not needed anymore. Get a brush. This is size 1. And let's continue with this sky blue. Now these are just going to be sporadic or few far in between edge highlights of just pure sky blue. No mixing, that was just quite heavy, but once again, that's fine. No stressing about it. Just paint on the brush. And I'm not going for too thin coats on these. I am just going for quick edge highlights here and there, just to really make this light blue color pop. And I want to, even though I just did something else right before, I want to imagine a source of light, and I'm thinking it's from over here is the main source of light. Now it's the moon. It's quite a big thing. But this is the side I'm primarily going to add highlights from, imagining that the moon is going to throw the most light on this part. So this is where my edge highlights or brightest highlights are going to stay. Just a quick little adding of light blue highlights. Some of this tube can get some too. In a bit we're going to cover a lot of this in another color, but it's fine. It's nice having this prepared stage. There. Just making it pop a bit. We want that pop on the board. We want it to be readable from 3 feet away. Let's just add a bit over here just for some edging. Just to really make some of this model pop. There we are. Is that good? Maybe some here, some there. Some of this metal. Bit here, bit on this calf. And let's just actually add some to the top side of his holster, even though it is on the other side. Now, am I satisfied? Maybe a bit on the... Yeah, I think that's pretty satisfying. I might just for the fun of it, just to tie it together, add 2 or 3 small intently light blue highlights to the actual base of this model. Just like that, just to tie it together, but not to take focus from the model. That one and that one became a bit large, but once again, we'll just roll with it. Now we're talking with the blue color. It's along the same lines. Good. This brush, clean it off. It's not a dry brush, clean it off. And keep it where you like to keep your brushes. Now that's under control, and we've been going for 16 minutes. That is including my starting rambling. Let's go white. Add a bit of white to your palette, just like that. Take a smaller dry brush. This time you want to be able to reach somewhere. This is a size large. And add some white to it. This is a bit yellowy white, mainly because I have yellow in my brush. But that doesn't actually matter. White is just going to be there for the fun of it. Now, decide a direction. I want this guy to be sort of looking in the direction of the light source for the pink. So I want this, and I am just going to go in without any real care in the world and just add some of this now yellowy white. This is the problem with using white on a dry brush. It just really likes to do this stuff. Just add a lot. Also on the base, it's going to go from that direction too. Need some more white. Let's get some more white on my palette. I need to buy a new white because it's almost empty. Let's get some in the brush. Good quantity. It's a bit much for now. Let's just go for it. Go crazy with this. Just add a good amount. Enjoy this. Enjoy this step. The light is coming from here. It will catch this backpack as well. It'll catch these edges. Imagine the light going from this direction. It's going to throw in, and it's going to go past, and it's going to hit these back spots as well. Good. And it might also hit this leg in here a bit. And maybe this one. There we are. Clean your brush again, just the same as before. Get out some of that old paint. The nail is good for like just wiping it off. If you have an edge, if you have any sharp edges, like this is just a piece of laminate, you can just go on the edge. I like to use this board. Right now it's just placed on my table, so I don't really have the space to go on my board, but just on that sharp edge. You can just, on my palette, you can wipe off most of it. Now, get a bigger brush, or any brush in reality. This is a size 3, and this brush is messed up. I am very sorry for this Kolinsky table brush, but I misused it at some point, so now I just continue to misuse it. We are going in with contrast paint, and now here's a trick that you can do with contrast paints and shades. I have this sponge. This is a normal dishwashing sponge. One of my mates used this corner just for sponging on stuff. But if you dig a hole in it, you can place your paint in there, or your pot in there, and this thing is not going to topple over, just to avoid the nuisance of having to have paint topple over on your board. You could scoop some out and put it on the palette. I just like to take shade and contrast straight from the pot. Now the thing that ruined this brush and why it is just a contrast brush now was contrast paint. It's also shade brush, but contrast paint, it pulls into the ferrule, and then it just splits the hairs. So my mistake. Now I have to just roll with it. Add voluptuous pink all over the white you've just added. And don't worry too much about how it goes. If if it goes on the blue, it's fine. It's fine. It's going to create a natural gradient between blue and pink. And of course, if you didn't want it this color, you could use, I don't know, Yanton yellow or something. You could use Yanton yellow if you wanted this light yellow instead of pink, or if you didn't want the light, you could just roll with how it was. Now we are going to do 2 quick coats, and yes, they are going to overlap one another, and it is fine. 2 rapid coats, just make sure that it doesn't pool too much. So something like that is pretty good. And I know people say contrast paint doesn't dry fast, and it doesn't, but it should be dry enough for us to add another coat now. Mainly because it's not going to be our end color. So we do have some leeway. You could, if you wanted to, just leave it here and say, this is your model. Remember the base. I am about to forget adding some on the base. The light source is also going to hit the base. We could cover some of this with it. Good. And there. So that's 2 quick coats. Now wipe off, wash your brush, clean it. You see already it's pulled all the way to the ferrule. So yeah, nothing at the end of the brush. Let's see if we can get more out of the actual ferrule. We can't really. So it does pull into the bristles. Just be mindful of it. Now we can put away our Volupus pink and our smart thing. It's like nothing. It is free to do. And let's see if we can do the rest of this model in 8 minutes. Let's see if we can do this in less than half an hour. Take your yellow. Take your... Oh, I said this was a large. It's a medium. Sorry. Take your dry brush, the smaller dry brush. Get some of the paint out. Put it on in the bristles and work out quite a lot of it. I have on this other side of my palette, I have just some texture paint placed down. It's quite good for this purpose. Now, when you have most of it out, find the light source. There is a light source. I don't think this is on continuous autofocus. There is a light source right here. And I am just going to add this yellow to right there with my dry brush. And I'm allowing it to touch everything else around it. Just, it's a light source. There we are. It's going to throw a light out. Now, it's fine. That's enough. That's all you need. Work off some of the yellow so you don't miscolor your white when you have to use it next time. Just because sometimes you forget to think. But you see, you can get a lot out this way. Good. Now, back to our white. Let's add just a bit on the board. Let's get out our small brush. This bad boy size 1. And take some of that white. Put it right in the lamp. Just right there. And do gladly put too much in there. Because now, we're going to take a finger. We're just going to dab it on there. Remove a bit of it. No need to wash your brush yet. Take some of your water. Add it on the board with some of your yellow. And do be rather quick with this. Add it to the white just because you can. If you add too much, use your finger to dab out some of it. And now, because the paint is so thin, it's going to pull into the ferrule, so wash your brush. And be relatively quick. That should clean it entirely. It did. It's a nice brush now. Put it back. So, blue done. Yellow done. Now we just need the actual pink. And here comes the thing that is a bit weird. I'm just going to use my paper to dab off some of the non-dried contrast paint. There we go. Now, this step might seem a bit weird, but we need some more of that sky blue. Even though I said we were done with the blue stage. Blue on the board. medium dry brush. Get some on the brush. This time we do want it thin, not a lot. This time it's going to be a lightish green due to the yellow, and that's still fine. Now, add this on top of your pink, but do try to get it to be an edge highlighting just. So classic dry brushing, not too much, just weak things. And do try to get it to the point where you would call this blue, or where you would call the edges light blue. Don't go overboard with this, just like that. Maybe a bit more there, and a bit on the leg and the back. I think that's good. Okay, we've pulled it back a bit, and now we're just going to clean the brush again. And say we have 4 minutes. Okay, I'm actually going to just cut the video here shortly, and I'll be back in just a second, okay? Back. It just, my camera can only record for 30 minutes at a time, and that was 26 minutes. Now, the color we've been waiting for, magenta. Do shake it up well. I have pre-shook this a bit. Pre-shake it. Add some to the board. Let's actually just get it to the bottom. Add some to the board. There you are. Now it's on the palette. Get out whatever brush you want to use. We could use this size 1 if we wanted to. Do we want to? Let's try with the size 1. Usually I use the size 3. There we are. Now all the light blue places, just add this magenta on top of it in a thin filter. If you do it too thickly, it does become red like this. So don't add it too thickly, just thin coats, rather in this case 2 thin coats than 1 thick coat, just like Duncan Rhodes would say. There we go, just all over. Right now it is very non-colorful, and just keep going around. Just go on. There, we had some there. We have this edge here. And this, again, doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be perfect, you can, of course, do it perfect. I just don't care enough. There we are. That was basically the Gundam. Now let's do the tubing. And you can be quick with this. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. Good enough is all we're going for. Whoops. All I'm going for, at least. If you want to go tabletop, standard, plus, plus, and another plus and stuff, just go for it. Add some of the pink to the face, to the jawline. Do overlap the yellow, because it's 2 light sources fighting, so the color will mix. Let's do this arm as well. He has 2 arms. Let's got the backpack. Let's get that one done. Now the sun is going through the window, ruining the lighting, but that's okay. Your model has to look good in multiple lights. I know the sunlight is not what we wargamers usually see, but we still have to have models that look good in the sunlight. Sometimes we have family over and they're going to see our models. There we are. And this leg had a bit as well. Do add a bit to the ground. Where we didn't add any light blue, might I add. Just because we don't want the base to take away the attention from the model. Just want to tie it together. Add a bit there, there, there. Nice. That looks good. Now here comes the last trick, which is the light is coming from a direction. So it's coming from over here and it is hitting the model. There are places it wouldn't hit, which is like the back of this and stuff. But do put some paint on there as well as like a rim light. So not back here. That's too far away. Just like on the extreme edges where this wouldn't hit, but you're not quite sure if it actually would hit. Like the back of the shin, it shouldn't hit the back of the shin, but do like just there. Just to add a rim light to just sell the effect. The same thing, we're trying to sell this effect. We are not trying to make a realistic model. At least I'm not trying to make a hyper-realistic model. I'm trying to sell the effect of Vaporwave. Clean your brush. Now there's one final step to do for every model. Let's just pull it over. That just ruined the lighting entirely. You are going to have some nice crisp shadows. Enjoy them. We're actually going to use black. Any black will do. Any color will do. I'm just a guy who likes black for this purpose. Go there. Take your brush. Any brush will do again. Get some black on it and just clean that rim. And I like all my rims to be painted black. Now there we are. A nice quick cleaning of the rim. This is the finishing touch to any model. It does make it look better. It makes everything look crisp. Now you can see how much this brush is actually splitting. Maybe you can. It splits a lot. Let's just complete this rim. You could do this with a dry brush. You could do this with anything. The dry brush doesn't need to dry brush it on. You can just use it as a brush. It is still just a brush. There we are. Clean the brush. Put down the brush. And enjoy your completed model. That's how easy it is to paint Vaporwave. Thank you for watching. Maybe I'll see you at some other point. Maybe I won't. I don't know. If you like this, if this just blows up, maybe I'll do more videos. If it doesn't, well, then I have a video to show friends who continuously ask me how I paint these models. And when they then do what I've done, they're just going to do it a lot better than me. So, enjoy this paint scheme, painting way. Use it however you want to use it. Talk to you later.